Good morning. I would like to ask everybody to please take your seats. We are about to get started, and we're actually right on time because I know how my people do, so I padded it a little bit, and we do it just right. We're right on time, so I want to keep us that way. So if I can get everybody to sort of fill in the middle and towards the front before you fill the back in, I would love that, so we can be close to each other, we can be family. That is the African way, please. And we want to be able to see all your lovely faces. I don't even like all this. I got to use the mic because of the live stream, but otherwise I would be out here just touching and talking and splashing water on you and everything. But Baba's going to come up and do that part in just a moment. I'm going to ask Nana Sula to come up and bless us with a chant to open the morning.
May the road opener come. May we celebrate all of our traditions. May we stand in respect of all that has raised us, and the traditions of our grandmothers and grandfathers, the traditions of our aunties and uncles, and we salute all of those. We ask that as you come to open the way, we ask that all the Orisa, all the Obusum, all the Aneteru, may they all come to be with us in this time. We thank the organizers and we thank everybody for coming. So we say Ashe. We open the way with Eshu, and then we want to segue into Obatala. So we say, owner of talkativeness, come sit. Alaroye, Joko de, come sit. Alaroye, Joko de, come sit. Owner of talkativeness. Iba Orisha Mawo, Alaroye, Joko de. Owner of talkativeness, come sit. We honor the one that can see. Come sit. Alaroye Joko de, Alaroye Joko de, Iba Orisha Mawo, Alaroye Joko de. Alaroye Joko de. I know you all know this. Alaroye Joko de, Iba Orisha Mawo, Alaroye Joko de. Everybody. Alaroye Joko de, Alaroye Joko de, Iba Orisha Mawo, Alaroye Joko de. May every road be opened. May everything we desire in this lifetime be given to us. Wealth, power, authority to speak, the ability to have power over our words. May the ego come and give us that. And may we rise to our highest level on our pyramid. The pyramid that was built just for us. May we not be envious of anyone else's pyramid. So we say Ashe. May Allah clear our mind. Akete oba seniye. Akete oba seniye. Baba Joko dara oba la ese. Baba Fumilaye. Akete oba seniye. Akete oba seniye. Baba Joko dara oba la ese. Baba Fumilaye. Ae oba la ese. Baba Fumilaye. Ae oba la ese. Baba Fumilaye. Obana dide. Obana dide. Obana veye si boro. Obana dide. Obana dide. Obana dide. Obana veye si moro. Obana dide. Baba ego Gini Baba, Gini Baba Mawo, Baba Ego, 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 Gini Baba. May all those with challenges in their body, may that be emptied out today. If you have a challenge in your body, may Obatala come to straighten out what is crooked, to empty out in the ground what is no longer needed. May our heads be cleared, may our Ori be given light, new light, not old light. May the old light be emptied out, because sometimes those things we no longer need. So I shame all of you. Thank you for being a great choir. Y'all are great. So we had a bembe already. It's already been opened. And we salute all heads. We salute, give grace and beauty to all those with gray hair. Thank you for your walk. Thank you for the Babas and the Mamas. And may we all learn from you and be good students.
That's not a Sula, y'all. Y'all gonna hear some more from her soon. Ekabo, that means welcome in Yoruba, or as they say down here, hey, baby. I've been practicing how to do some of the names, how to do. Is that all right? I am just full right now. I'm trying not to cry, y'all. Those of you who know me personally know it doesn't take much. I'm a true child of Obatala, although I'm rocking my Iya Oshun's colors today. And Obatala is the owner of laughter and tears. We cry easy, we laugh easy. The water flows through, and so you will see me cry before the end of the day, but know that they're happy tears. For those who do not know me, I am Funlayo E, Dr. Funlayo E. I'm obligated to say it now. It is such a pleasure to be here at SUNO. I am humbled and honored to be in collaboration with the Center for African and African American Studies, Dr. Clyde Robertson, who's going to bring greetings, and our wonderful, wonderful Miss Linda back there, who's been so helpful, and Miss Darlene, who's not here yet. They are just so fabulous. Please give them a hand. Please. Because let me tell you, for those of you who have been following us, and many of you have, this is like family. And so I know if this is the first time you're with us, it will not be the last. People come back year after year after year, and we love them for it. This conference is the 6th of the African and Diasporic Religious Studies Association, which I founded at Harvard University in 2012. I founded it because I wanted us to have a space to study our traditions scholastically, but also with spirit. I am a scholar practitioner, right? I'm not just a scholar. And so it's very important to me that as we study these traditions, as we drop these names, as we cite these sources, that we cite our elders, that we cite the genuine sources of all of this knowledge that comes to us through the ages. And so I'm honored and humbled for all of my elders who are here, who have given so graciously of their time and their energy. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of the generosity and the outpouring of love. And I'm just looking forward to a beautiful day. Y'all having fun already? Yeah. Good. Please make sure that you support our vendors. They've come from all over. We have California in the house. We've got Texas. We've got folks, of course, homegrown right here in New Orleans. We have people from all over. And so we, in Atlanta, ATL in the house too. Matter of fact, let's do some shout outs. You know, we got to do that. ATL, we at? Let's make some noise now, represent. All right, where's the locals? We got to have, who's? Yes. And then what about, I know New York is in the house. On the world, baby. You know, I represent. And DC, I know somebody's from DC in here. DC, okay. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Strong rep. She's by herself, but she repped hard. Y'all gotta take some precedence. That's what we do. We use our voices. So this is, I'm like, oh yes, South Carolina. That's where my ancestors are buried, baby. York County, yes. Florida, yes, my second home. That's right. And Oakland, Texas. So shout it out now, Texas. Denver, yes, Denver. Virginia, yes. LA, yes. Where we at? Philly! Yes, I live in Philly now, so we're gonna have to definitely make sure we link up. I'm a New Yorker, but Philly is definitely home for me now. Baltimore, San Francisco. All right. So I'm so proud. Wait. Providence. Okay, brother. That's where we draw the line. No, but I can rock with Providence because you know we were neighbors when I was living up in Cambridge. So I can rock with you, but I'm a side-eye you just a little bit. All right. So without further ado, I would like to invite my master teacher, my Baba Oluwole Ifakunle, up to pour libation to the ancestors.
So continuing in the spirit of shout outs, I definitely like to shout out and among you all who are giants, please, since we are one family, please touch someone next to you, talk to someone, greet someone, take their name, try to say hello. That right now is your opportunity to make sure that you realize that you are a part of a family. And since we'll be pouring a libation for a family, this is about family, so family hugs is always important as well. But yes, so one love, one family, one universe, one world. Ashe. So, you know, one of the things is that in the Odu of Ifa says that we should be thankful. I said we should be thankful. They asked the birds of the land, why should they be thankful? They said because of the perpetuation of all the gratitude that we've been shown. So it is only before I even begin that I have to be grateful that I see Yeye and that I see the elders, Trina talking in the back, and that I see Tush, and that we stand on the shoulders, of course, of these giants. These people who were roadsters, these were road openers, or our Baba, or Surgeon Adefumidi, we give praise to those who were powerful energies that allow for us to be able to move forward and upward. As I give praise to my Baba, my Oluwole, who passed last year. He was 107 years old. Yeah, so Ifatu came me Alagbede. So one of the things that we started with a song for Eshu and for Batala and Omo Batala, but we always, like Orisa, it's really our ancestors that we should have greeted first. So we have to sing something for the ancestors. So, and the song that I like to share with you is Egungun ba wa she, iba egungun, mo pe egungun ba wa she. Egungun ba wa she, iba egungun, mo pe egungun ba wa she. My turn. Egungun ba wa she, iba egungun, mo pe egungun ba wa she. Egungun ba wa she, iba egungun, mo pe egungun ba wa she. So, mojuba lodumare, esun mole, rumole, mojuba, efunfun, ilagi, funfun, ilagi, kuputeku, mojuba, bobo, egungun mi. Molegun mule, modewi, mobegun mule, modewi, no, Orumila ila so de ifa lakpala. In the Odu Lara, it says that when we see somebody that we haven't seen in a long time, we become talkative. So we give praise to Bobo Egun, Latini Orun, those who are in heaven, those to whom spirits still are within inside of us, those ancestral spirits, Simeon Toko, to give praise to all the ancient kings of Africa, of the Congo, of the Senegal, and all throughout the world. We give praise to our ancestors. We give praise to Olodumare first, of course, who is the owner of today, the owner of yesterday, owner of all days to come, he who the Irumale and the Akbomale, exist to know his Lord and command, originated and created all things discovered and yet to be discovered. We give praise once again to our ancestors, to Orumila, the great divine, and witness of creation, second only to Olodumare, the owner of medicine, the more powerful than medicine, the immense orbit that fought the day of death. He to whom all the and he who is perfect in the house of wisdom, Oluwole, all powerful who saves. We give praise to Allah, the pure spirit, who needs no sacrifice, who comes down and gives us purity within our soul. We give praise to all the heavenly as well as the prophets and all the deities, the Ifakunle to the left and to the right and to the left. We give praise for the immense orbit that fought the day of death, so that today that we could see life. We woke up today, and that is a good thing, so that I can look at your faces and your wonderful colors and your wonderful beads and your wonderful spirits and the energy of family once again coming together. So today is a day that we're going to talk about what? Rocks. We're going to talk about roots and rocks and what? And reach out. So today, where they call it a new age, we're not talking about a new age. We're talking about that old age. Because they say that, oh, I got this stone now, and it's a new stone. Well, carnelian was worn by the prophet Muhammad. And all the kings, they wore lapis lazuli, and they wore these stones that be able to grab the energy of the world. And what are our Orisa and our ancestral pots made of? Other than the stones, the roots, the soil, and what do? We dance. And so today I hope that you are willing to celebrate and dance. The dance of the ancestors. Dance like one who is about to weed it. Dance like someone who's raking it together. That's what it says. Dance like someone who's weeding it and somebody who's raking it together. And today we bring ourselves together in one love, one light, and one harmony. Oh,
All right, let's give Baba some more energy tonight. Yes. We're not just clapping for him, we're clapping for our ancestors, and thank you for that correction. I was so eager to get to. I take the correction now, because I like to correct folks when they're not correct, and my Baba will let you know when you're not right. So I take the correction. I was eager for the songs, and yes, he is right, because that is my Odu that he chanted from Ishe Shela, Bo Kato Borisha.
correct.
So you know I know better. But we would like to now welcome Dr. Clyde Robertson, who is the director of the Center for African and African American Studies here at SUNO. If it were not for him in the center, this would not be happening. It was important for me when this conference left Harvard to bring it to an HBCU.
Oh,
Yes, please clap for that. I'm so about that. I'm so about spaces where our young people can be affirmed in who they are, can walk through the campus and not feel any kind of way, can just be proud and be, explore all of the different aspects of their Blackness, however that manifests. And so I am so grateful for the space that Dr. Robertson has opened up here, and I'll invite him up to welcome you. Please give him a rousing round of applause.
Greetings. On behalf of my ancestors, on behalf of our SUNO family, on behalf of the city of New Orleans, we welcome you to New Orleans and to SUNO. SUNO is a branch campus of the Southern University system. The main campus is in Baton Rouge. There are satellite campuses on the Baton Rouge campus, the Law Center, the Ag Center. There's a community college located in Shreveport, and we like to think that we are the golden feather in the Southern University's cap at SUNO. I'd like to acknowledge the elders and the young people, speaking of whom There are several of our SUNO students in the audience. Please stand and be recognized. In fact, those three young ladies are my students in my courses. And sisters, there's some beautiful woodwork back there. For a seat, get me one of them. I'd like to acknowledge Sister Linda. Sister Linda, please stand. Sister Linda is our archivist curator. The center has the largest collection of Angolan art in the state of Louisiana. And it's right in our library. I'd also like to acknowledge Sister Darlene, who is the office secretary. She's en route. She was in Mississippi taking care of business. Again, this is a very important conference. Whenever we are dealing with African spirituality, it is very serious. I understand that it began at Harvard, but now you're in an organic space. Yes. And we would like to invite you back to the city of New Orleans, back to the campus, over and over and over again. Down Press Drive, which is that street which borders this building, you will see a new building under construction 1 year from now. With God's blessings, we will be in that building, which will house an 800-seat state-of-the-art auditorium and other facilities that will accommodate our gathering. And so I'm putting it out in the wind. We would like to invite you back. We cordially invite you back. So welcome to the city of New Orleans, and welcome to Southern University at New Orleans. Ashe.
Thank you so much. Please give Dr. Robertson another hand. Again, I have so much love, and this is what happens when you work with your people. Dr. Robertson did not know me at all. Okay, he got a phone call one day from me, who had got his number from Baba Shaka and Ian Naima, whose show I hope all of you are going to this evening, and we'll remind you about that later. But I called him and I said, Dr. Robertson, this is what I'm doing. This is who I am, and would you welcome me to SUNO? And he just rolled out the red carpet, arranged for me to be on the radio, to promote, just all kinds of things. So I truly am grateful to him and to Ms. Denise and everybody in the center for everything they've done. And I'm grateful, and we accept that invitation. We will definitely be back, because this is my second favorite city in New York. I have the immense pleasure, honor, I don't even know any other adjectives to use to introduce our morning keynote speaker. Who I'm about to, woo! When I tell you, she's another one. Oh, and please, everybody, silence your phones. And again, please, no live streaming. Photos and short videos are okay. Y'all got me already. When I picked Yeye up from the airport yesterday, she started pouring into my soul. You hear me? Because this is not easy. And those of you who organize anything, you know what I'm talking about. And she just fed me in a way that I needed to be fed, and she always has. And she's another one. She was the keynote speaker for the very first symposium I ever did at Harvard. And similarly, she did not know me either. And I got her phone number from somebody, a little birdie. And I said, I'm gonna call her, because closed mouths don't get fed. I'm not shy. And I called her and I said, yeah, you don't know me, but this is who I am, and this is what I'm doing. And if you would come, I said, I don't have no money. I got enough to get you here. And then I'll arrange a workshop, and I'm scrambling. I'm gonna do something to take care of you, but please. And she said, Of course, baby. Yeah, I got you. And then when I got to Oakland, she let me sleep on her couch. She had never seen me before, okay? So this is the type of love that our ancestral traditions bring out, right? And this is important that we understand that this isn't just about kneeling down to forces unseen. This is about honoring forces and people seen.
There you go.
This is about building community. So as Baba said, please make sure you talk to folks you don't know today. Meet each other. Some of you live in this city and may not have met each other, right? Although I see a lot of reunions happening and I'm glad for that. But it's so important. And the roots, rocks, and ring shouts, I chose that as the name for the symposium because those are some of our most vital essences. The rock is the roots, of course, kosi ewe, kosi orisha. If there's no leaves, if there's no plants, there's no deities, right? Yet all of you who practice any form of African spirituality, whether it's Orisha, Hoodoo, Conjure, Voodoo, whatever it is, you know those plants and those herbal essences are everything. That's the fruit of the earth. The rocks, Oyigi Otaumio, the unchanging rock that is Olodumare, the Almighty God who's represented by that rock, and that is why we use rocks in our sacred implements. And then of course that ring shout, because we got to move, clap, dance, and shout, right? Let me hear some clapping and dancing and shouting. That's what we do, because here in North America, we had our ritual technology of the drum stripped from us. But that one monkey don't stop no show, right? We got our bodies. You can take, and they tried to take those away too, didn't they? Right? But we said no. We're gonna clap. We're gonna shout. We're gonna make that sacred percussion, right? That percussion is sacred. It is ritual technology that we implement. And so it's just beautiful, and I'm so happy to have you all here and to honor these forces. Yeye, Teish, I don't have to tell you nothing about her, okay? If you don't know, you better ask somebody, as we say in Harlem. She is a world-renowned priestess, ritualist, a storyteller, amazing. I'm sure she's gonna tell you a story today. She's gonna make you laugh, make you cry. That's what she does. And she's going to give us the gift of a 50-year retrospective on Orisha tradition in America, the challenges and the triumphs, because we have to understand our challenges in order to be able to overcome them. And so she's going to share that with us. And I have to tell y'all something too, as she comes up, we're going to serenade her because this woman was so gracious as to be with us here on her 70th birthday. Please stand up as she comes. Please stand up as she comes. And we're going to give her a little round of the black happy birthday. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. 1, 2, 3. We're running back. Oh, the verses. Okay. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. All right. Yes. For Yeye and Orisa Teish, the one and only. Yeah. You're going to have to do a little rearranging. Yes. The microphone says I can okay, I got you. Yeah. You know that riddle about are you gonna go on? Yeah. You know that riddle about what is the creature that starts out on no legs, goes from no legs to 4 legs, goes from 4 legs to 2 legs, and then 2 legs to 3 legs. Now what's the creature? Man. There you go. All right, need some learned folks here. Okay. All right, so
Move forward.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Let's move it forward.
You want to chat forward?
Yes, please. Not off the stage, though, but forward.
Yeah, don't fall off the stage.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, y'all know I have a strange relationship with mechanical devices. Okay. Can you all hear me? No. Would it be better if I just held it?
It's all right.
You can hear me now? Okay.
It doesn't.
Let her hold it and move the broom out the way.
Hold it and move the thing out.
Exactly.
There we go. Okay. So this is typical me.
Whoa.
saw what you and Miss Isaacs did making that rain. Why do y'all do that? How y'all do that, right? And the response was, this is a racehorse conversation and no jackasses are allowed. Okay? No jackasses are allowed. And so what this made of me was, I learned the art of eavesdropping. You know, I learned how to be right in the next room, listening to everything they said and pretending I knew nothing. This has served me very well in life, that ability. But what it left me with was a question. When I did get to question, I said, Mama, Daddy, how come y'all do that? Their answer always was, because that's what the old folks say. Okay? And so in my quest, I went and asked Mama Luli, who was in her 80s, why my mother, who was in her 30s, did what she did. And Mama Luli's answer was, because that's what the old folks say. And it occurred to me that if somebody is older than Mama Luli, then they talking about somebody who ain't here no more. Okay, this was the opening to knowing that ancestor reverence was important. Okay, and if you grow up in New Orleans and you start asking that question, it leads you to Haiti. If you get to Haiti, it leads you to Africa. If you get to Africa, it leads you to the entire planet. Okay, and you know, my eyes were opened to a peekaboo where I had to pretend I wasn't seeing nothing, but I'm steadily gathering information. Here is a very, very important thing to know about your Ori, your consciousness. What you put in it, it takes as a command and it begins to guide you along that path, okay? So I'm asking the question, what are the old folks talking about? What is it that they know that I need to know? And this led me to, and I mean really led me to, finding a National Geographic magazine that had a spread on Africa. And I'm looking at people with their faces painted and they're going home. And I'm going, what's that? What they do? You know, and you keep asking the question. The stronger the desire is, the more the ancestors hear you and they put you on a path, so that a path of discovery, so that you can find the answer, okay? So for me, I left New Orleans and went to Southern California, was in high school in Los Angeles, trying my best to be a Del Fight queen. You know, street gang bullets, you know, doing that thing that young people do. And every time there was this, I would have this quote unquote hallucination of an old man dressed in white, peeping around, who would give me instruction, and I'll never forget it. I don't know how many of you have ever seen the movie Colors. Okay, I know them people. That's a true story. They just changed a few names. Okay, but I was a Del Valle queen in Los Angeles in 1965, right? And I remember being at a party, and I looked over and I saw a man dressed in white, the image of a man dressed in white around the tree, and he said, "Go get a taco burger." And I'm saying, I'm at a party where there's lots of food. He said, "Go get a taco burger." So I said, okay, and I left. And I'm walking up like this, and here come the police. Where are you going? I'm going to go get a taco burger, which is right now. Where are you coming from? I lied and said my uncle's house over here because I knew my uncle would bad me up. He lived over here, but the party was over here. So I went to get the taco bird, but there had been a drive-by shooting over here. Okay, and that happened more than once. So when I got my first reading, and they said to me, your mother's father wants you to know that he has been protecting you all this time. I had to say, yeah, thanks, Papa, thank you. You know, so I walked away from a lot of danger. So let me go back a while and say that my mother's philosophy was God by any means necessary. Okay, and we're in the segregated South, where it's not safe to go to school, where it's not safe to go to church, where I stood on the highway waiting to be taken to school and have people come by and shoot at me on the highway. Okay, so that action was serious. But I went to any kind of church. My father's people were AME. My mother was Catholic. And at a point, she decided to send me to Catholic school, which put me in jeopardy because I had to stand on the highway and get shot at going from Harvey to Algiers, right? And, but being in Catholic school was very, very interesting because it was my first opening to rebelling against the symbolism, okay? It was the first time that I learned that you, in catechism, but you must not ask the question, that you were given concepts that you must not test. This wine and this bread is not wine and bread. There's a ritual whereby the transubstantiation of matter turns this into the actual body and blood of Christ. And I said, damn, that sounds like cannibalism to me. I'm not supposed to think it through like that. If this man can turn bread and wine into flesh and blood, he be juju man. But I'm not supposed to think like that. You know, these are the people who are telling me that my ancestral traditions are savage. But when I start to investigate them, everything they got, they took from somebody else, mine and their own. Every temple, every cathedral known as Notre Dame originally belonged to a goddess. And all of those goddesses come out of the Black Madonna. You know, I'm preaching to the choir, so I want y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, so a whole world opens up where I now, again, am secretly questioning everything. Because, you know, I did communion, I did baptism, I did communion, I did confirmation, I did all of that. And confirmation, and this is the way it is when ancestors are working with you, confirmation, which was supposed to confirm me in that, was the thing that took me out of it inside. I'm kneeling down. This man who's got all these jewels in his hat, who's got all these fine clothes, who claims to have taken a vow of poverty, but his rent is paid. I kneel down in front of him. He slaps my face, and I'm supposed to kiss his hand? I don't like nobody playing in my face. And when I got up from that, it was like, this confirms that something ain't right here. That's what this confirms. You see what I'm saying? It was that kind of thing. And I went from there to, and I know some of y'all have gone through that period of spiritual alienation, where I said, the next time I get on my knees, it's gonna be to look for my shoes. I ain't praying to nobody. That don't last too long. That's just to separate you from what does not work and to put you on the quest for what is truly yours. Okay. Now, let us give praise and thanks for for the blessing that I found myself in 1968, having gone to college in Oregon at a United Church of Christ. United Church of Christ school where religious studies were required. And we had a choice between Western civilization, Bible study, and philosophy of religions. I took philosophy of religions, right, to get the big picture. From there, I was blessed to get a scholarship as a teacher trainee with Catherine Dunn. Now this door is being kicked wide. Now I'm living in the same house with people from Nigeria and Haiti and Brazil and India and all parts of Africa. And the way Madame did it was holistically. You didn't just do the dances, you ate the food, you wore the clothes, you learned the politics of the area, okay? And here I was, 22, with a mermaid's figure and rather attractive, you know, somewhat conceited, yes, you know that trick, right? You know, and I'm dancing my ass off, right? And I will never forget a performance where Dambala took me on stage. Dambala took me on stage, and I'm up here on the ceiling looking at myself dancing on the stage. You know, that was a first real embodied experience of how spirit, how Loa and Orisa can penetrate matter and enter into not just your consciousness, but your body. Now, prior to that, I want y'all to know that I had found a little book on West African folklore, because I read all the Greeks and all the Romans, and I knew all about Zeus and them, right? There's a thing on Netflix right now where Zeus is a black man. It's really interesting. It's really strange. And I knew all about them, but here I was thumbing through this book and going, oh, gun, oh, shun, oh, bakela. Who are they? Who are they? And even though I pronounced their names wrong, they heard me. Even though I pronounced their names wrong, they heard me. You see. Okay. And so at the Dunham School, I was learning things. I went from there to being the choreographer for the Black Artist School in St. Louis, right? And now I know that, you know, I began to realize that my ancestors were asking the question, answering the question, what do the old folks know, right? And it landed me in the Fahami Temple of Amun-Ra in St. Louis, where I learned that everything that the Western world has comes out of Egypt. And not this little country that they say is in the Near East either. I'm talking about Egypt, that went from the lip of Africa to the tip of South Africa. Let us not ever be deceived to think that that's that's a corner, that's a little cul-de-sac on the river, right? And I went from there to Oakland, California. And there they kicked the door wide open. All of a sudden, I'm dancing with a group called Bata Koto, with drums. And we Gimayao, Yao, Shum, I mean, all of them are right there. So I came through the dance and through the storytelling. Now, I want everybody to take a deep breath because y'all have to tell me how much more time I have. And this is the point where, you know, I'm a priestess of Oshun and Ifa, but Yemaya gave me a very important taboo. She said, don't run around people what you know. But if somebody asks you a question, ask them if they want to hear the truth as you know it. And then if they say, yeah, tell them the truth, no matter what the consequences. So from here on out, I have to ask y'all, do y'all want to hear the truth as I know? Yes. Okay. I want to bless everybody in this audience for having progressed the way that you have, to see you sitting here, educated, intelligent people who are investing in our tradition, says to me that I can die in peace. It says to me, I'm gonna hang around for another 20 years. Okay. But I want y'all to know that it does mean that I will be able to die in peace, because certain problems that we have, the number one problem being that our own educated people were looking down on our own traditions and would invest in anything other than our own tradition. We have overcome that. Okay. I want y'all to know, when I first wrote Jambalaya under Yemaya's insistence, y'all need to know I tried not to write it. It took me 12 years to write it. And she'd get my ass up out the bed, didn't I tell you? We'll work on this. We'll work on that. You know, I'm afraid, oh, I'm going to be diagnosed with personality disorder, or you know, the Christians are going to come with me, and all that kind of stuff. But when it first came out, my first support came from older Jewish women. And the reason for that is because it was at a time when feminist women were blaming their mothers for not already being liberated. And I said, people of the African diaspora don't do that. You honor your mama and all that she has experienced. And they said, we're going to support her because that's a message everybody needs to get. Okay. It took a while for people in the diaspora, for our own people, to stop being afraid that we would be tarred and feathered. Remember the Black Codes? That was a time when you could be murdered for looking like this, for practicing this. And that is what was keeping people from moving forward in our own tradition. Okay, okay. And so now we've gone from, and I'm happy to say with a certain amount of respect, we've gone from eavesdropping on those elders who were uneducated, ignorant, maybe holding on to whatever they could hold on to now accepting, exploring, and dignifying our own. This makes me feel really good, really, really good. And I'm grateful to see all the books. I'm grateful to know that you can go to YouTube and put in an Orisha's name and get songs and get prayers and get information, okay? Because don't tell your daddy what I'm about to say, okay? The truth of the matter is that when I was coming up, the way the brothers stood here and told us a song, that would not happen. That's right. Okay? You go to a Bembe, the Ikeoma will sing your response once. That's it. And if you didn't catch it, tough titty. You know, you just had to sing or hum or pretend you knew what was going on until you in the flow of it. Right? Okay? And what I did to Anya Biosum, my baba, he liked Old English 800.
Wow. Wow.
and I slipped him a Mickey. I got him drunk. I stole his songbook. I ran to Kinko's and I copied it, and I slipped it back. And when he wasn't looking, I made copies and gave it to everybody else. This is the eavesdropper. This is the deceptive little girl doing her covert stuff to get the information out. But now it's out, okay? The other thing I need to speak on, two more things I need to speak on is we want to be very careful and particular to know that Sankofa says, look behind you but fly forward. Look behind you but fly forward. It is wise to sort Africa to authenticate certain things, but we're not flying backwards. Okay? As people in this hemisphere, and especially in this diaspora, we have experiences, knowledge, and information that must not be sacrificed, that must be explored. Yes? Okay? We really, really need to understand the responsibility that has been laid at our feet. Now go with me for a minute. I doubt that there's anybody in this room who is pure anything. I'm just Yoruba, or I'm just Congo, or I'm just this, that, or the other. Okay. If we are to truly honor our ancestors and make the best of what they have given us, we are a rich soup of our traditions. And we have got to respect that soup, all the ingredients that they've given us. There was a time when I would sit in on somebody's itai, and it was only about the Yoruba priest. There was a time when people wouldn't deal with Ifa, and a time when they didn't think the Ifa existed. Okay? But I have sat now in itas where somebody's divining and they say, I don't understand what this is. Let me dig in deep. Oh, this person needs to receive Bodum. Oh, this person's ancestors are saying, go over here and learn Hindu meditation. They are trying to give us the responsibility of not only harvesting all that we have inherited, harvesting all that we have inherited, but moving it forward with an understanding that we are not stealing anything from anybody. Now, I'm going to do this because I'm a vain. I'm a vain. I really am vain. You know, they say, oh, shame. It's true. It's true. You know. The noetic sciences, which are the sciences that what we do in noetics is we take beliefs, which people would ordinarily call old wives' tales, and we subject it to scientific scrutiny. You know? So you may get a reading where somebody says, oh, you need a spiritual bath. And you think that that's just something that your grandma said, or that's just something that's in the Odu. Okay. But now we can take that water and look at it under microscopic conditions, say a prayer in that water, and put it under the microscope, and you will see that it has changed.
That's right.
Okay? All of our so-called old wives' tales, old superstitions have been proven under scientific scrutiny to be real. There is no, you are not practicing form of spookism. Okay, you are reclaiming, and this is my own theory, our odus, our folk tales, our rituals are science that has been rendered into poetic language. It is our ancient spiritual science rendered into poetic language. And I stand on that. I don't care where I am. You know, that is the truth. And it is now provable. Okay. What we have to work on is our ethics. We really, there's too much underhanded shit going on. Okay? You know, there are people fighting, there are people being exploited. We can't keep doing that. You know, we have to respect our women, our men, our children, our allies, our earth. This earth belongs to me. Okay? And the one thing that people sometimes get upset with me about is there is not, y'all know there was a time when all the continents were in one place, right? There is now geological proof that Africa did this, and she pushed Europe out the way we push a baby out. It has been proven, okay? And whenever somebody tell me, you know, well, you have to decide, are you a black woman first? Or are you a woman first? Or are you a human first? What are you? I say every human thing walking this planet came from between my black legs. Don't tell me I have to choose. I ain't got to choose a damn thing. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I want to charge you all with the responsibility of looking at your own time, never mind mine and somebody else's business. Look at your own time. Look at your ancestors. See what it is that they are offering you and make a commitment to expand your consciousness, to identify your allies, to do your work, and shoot me a note on your progress so I can die in peace.
Please, yes, keep it going for our distinguished elder on her birthday. Yes, that's 70 years of beautiful marination right there. That's vintage right there. I don't know if you know what you got today, but you got something special. Very, very special. Thank you, Yeye. Thank you so much. We are just, I'm full. How y'all feeling? Y'all all right? Are you all right? If you're not all right, I don't know what's wrong with you. And I can't do nothing for you. But so we're gonna take just a brief break. We're like 2 minutes behind schedule, but for us, that is right on time. So I love it. So we're just gonna take 10 minutes. We're gonna start, and I'm gonna ask the panelists on the first panel to please come forward. And we will start the next panel at 11:30, which is actually 9 minutes now, so y'all be quick. There's a little coffee in the back left if anybody would like some, and we're coming right on back.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. We, the live stream, we had the folks saying we had them muted, they couldn't hear. And I'm going to shout out everybody else as well. I wanted to give a couple of shout outs, and then I'll say that I have a few more shout outs. So thank you so much to all the vendors for being here. We appreciate you, and we'll be showing you love. So the first panel, this is very exciting. I'm excited to have all of these beautiful folks with us. We are talking about, and it's called Represent on the Intersections of Art and Spiritual Practice. And you might notice that re is in parentheses. And one of the reasons for that is that we say that the artist both represents things that don't exist and also makes them present, right? And so we represent things and we make them present through the practice of art. The ADRSA, since our inception, has always had a featured artist every year because we understand that you cannot divorce what is actually erroneously called art, right, from spiritual practice. What was pillaged from the village, as my friend Wolfhawk Jaguar says, and put into museums as art, is actually ritual technology. Right? It was not intended to just be looked at, sit there and look at it, oh, this is nice. No, it was to call down the spirits. It was to honor the dead. It was to celebrate life. It was to do all of these things. And so it's always important to us to have artists with us of all ilks, those, whether you work in wood, paint, wax, song, and shell, all of those mediums are our ritual technology. And so without further ado, we're going to jump right into the conversation with our guests. We have with us Baba Marcus Sangodoyin Akinlana. Please give him a hand. We have Mama Sula Spirit with us. We have our sister Ikeoma Divine. And we have our featured artist whose image has been gracing all of our promotional materials, Jean-Marcel St. Jacques. Please welcome him. And just to give you a little bit about him, firstly, also let me let you know, as it says on the schedule you have, in the interest of the environment, we send the commemorative journal out electronically. And we like to do that after because it keeps you connected, right? So you'll get it within the next 2 days. It'll have biographies of all these beautiful people, links where you can visit them, and all of the rest of that information. And one thing that you will see is a write-up about the wooden quilts collection, which we are honored to have here with us today, just a portion of it. All of these pieces were made from wood salvaged from our brother Jean-Marcel's home, which was damaged in Hurricane Katrina in the Treme section of New Orleans. So all of that wood was salvaged from the house, and he decided to make lemonade out of lemons and create this beautiful artwork from it. So please check it out, speak with him about it, and he'd be more than happy. And of course, take a piece home with you, especially those who are local and can, if you can get it with you. He's got small pieces as well. The Nina Simone piece, that's our conference image. He has a limited number of small blocks of those, so you can check those out over there. So I'm going to moderate. This is just going to be a conversation, and I want to give each of them a few moments to just introduce themselves and talk about their practice. Tell us what your spiritual practice is, what your artistic practice is, and just give us a little bit about yourself. So we can start with Marcus.
Good morning. Oluwole Marcus Sangodoyin Akinlana. Most people know me as a visual artist. People were shocked to find out that I kind of consider myself retired from being a visual artist, but I was so hardcore with it for so many decades. It was a transition. I'm also, of course, an Orisa Sango, drummer, singer, and I train people in martial arts.
My name is Sula Spirit, or Nana Sula Spirit. My initiation name is Nana Okonfo Kokwe Ama Telia. It's very long, so I just say Sula Spirit. And I stand as a representation of my ancestors. I stand for my great-great-grandmother, we reach her as Coin, who's many people know her legacy here. I have a temple here called the Temple of Light, Ile de Coin, House of Coin, in respect of my grandmother and in respect of the Ewe lineage that I was initiated under. I was initiated as an Ewe priest of Mamisi, the priestess of Mami Water. And I was initiated in Ghana, West Africa, and been with the Orisa tradition since the age of 19, and been with the Akan or Ewe traditions in honor of my great-great-grandmother, who was born in the 1700s, 1742. They trace her lineage back according to her name, the name Kokwe or Kok or Koi or Coin, if you add the French pronunciation, in Louisiana. And so she was a very powerful businesswoman. I say she's a juju woman all the way, and did a lot of very powerful things here in Louisiana. So I stand, I lived as her then and I live as her now.
Good morning. My name is Ikeoma Divine. Everybody calls me Kiki, so I'm not worrying about that. I am a registered nurse. I come from nurses and midwives. My great-grandmother was a midwife in South Carolina. Great-grandmother from my maternal side was also a good woman on reservation in Virginia. Great-aunt was also a nurse and a hairdresser, and I remember sitting at her table every Saturday because we would get our hair pressed for church on Sunday, and watch how she did hair, and she would give remedies because she was also a nurse and a hairdresser. You know, we keep those coins coming in all kind of ways. But we also healed our community through that. I thought I was coming to South Carolina 2 years ago as a travel nurse, and I've been there. It's going on 2.5 years now, and now I have a boutique, a maternal boutique where I actually teach root work, and I also sell spiritual supplies around, and it's basically dedicated to those of African descent, all practices of African descent. But my job is there from the ancestors to teach people to remember why we use this. I don't teach the root work of how to keep your man from cheating on you. I teach the root work of how to heal yourself that you can attract the love that you're supposed to be. And yeah, we have slides of
Marcel, Jean-Marcel St. Few different names, but I'm one of those people that was born in the Louisiana Creole diaspora way back in the West Coast, but ended up coming back. So I made the trip back, back down here to where my ancestors are from, sitting on the shoulders of a generation of men that was named for this human contraband that came after the Haitian Revolution. A lot of Haitians came to New Orleans after the revolution. Some of them came willingly as actual migrants, but some of them came as human contraband, like hidden and smuggled in the holds of the ship. This cat named Jacques, this rebellious slave, I guess, who they chained down in the bottom, he came over during that time. And I descend from him. And his son, Alcide Jacques, and then his son, Artemon Jacques, and then his son, Austin Jacques, and then his son, Leonard Jacques, and then his son, Shirley Jacques, and me. So we got 7 generations, and I just happen to be able to be born out of captivity on the West Coast and got to kind of put it all together, in exile, and then was able to come back and reapply it. And I guess the way it goes down is through this art. So for lack of a better word, I guess I'm a hoodoo practitioner, because I don't really like to get into labels per se. It's just art is creation, and the ritual of creating is where I find that how to apply these gifts that I got from the ancestors. So that's
Actually, that's a beautiful segue into one of the first questions I wanted to ask the panel, and you touched on it a little bit. Why is art making of all varieties so important for our communities? What is that connection to the communities, to spirit? What is it that seeing beautiful images? You know, I recently moved to Philadelphia, and Barbara Marcus's work is all over the city. Philadelphia is known for its murals, and it's one of the things I love. And so why do you all think that this is so important? Barbara Marcus, why don't you start off and tell us what that means to us and why it's important?
Okay, so I'm 7 generations deep in New Orleans art. I'm the 7th generation of professional artists in the city and our family. Musicians, artists of all types. My Uncle Charles, who brought the room, created Sugar Bear. Some of y'all are old enough to know Sugar Bear. Some of y'all don't know Sugar Bear, but if you're of a certain age and stage, you know Sugar Bear. Sugar Bear with the cereal logo. And my Uncle Charles created Sugar Bear. He went to Dillard, okay? All right, now, when we're talking about Ashawa, our culture, for me, one of the guiding North Stars is this here, Afri-Cobra. They had a conference in 1970 in Evanston, Illinois, and they created 8 aesthetic principles for African people in America's art, right? One of them was to have an atavistic aesthetic, where you would tap into your egun, your ancestors, before you would make a move. I joined the mural movement in 1980. I'm going to pull up another name right here. These are some of my mentors. Some of my mentors sit right here in this room. I'm going to give them a shout out in a minute. But anyway, all right. And this, are y'all familiar with this name right here? Bill Walker. This is one of the greatest of all times, a living legend when he was here, Torum. He's the founder of the mural movement in this country, along with other people, not by himself, of course, but he is the tip of the spear. This is the late, great Bill Walker, Torum. So he is one of the organizers of the Wall of Respect in Chicago in 1967, the year after I was born, okay? So long story short is that these elders and many others, going back to this great woman right here, who's one of my role models, I try to be her. Hold up. This is from one of my murals in Philadelphia that I did before I got wore out, and I'm retired now, but anyway. All right, this is a 30-foot high head of this great ancestor right here. Are y'all familiar with this ancestor? If you are not, I wish that you would be. Raise your hand if you know who this is. Very good. This is one of the greatest of all time. And we should know her name. We should pick her up. Meta Vogue Warwick Fuller. She is one of the revolutionaries who started our entire cultural movement before the Harlem Renaissance. In the late 1890s, she dedicated herself to not only making artwork that was liberational, but using our cultural, technological genius as a visual artist to inform her art, okay? So our art affects our ori. Our art informs our ori, and Yeye already talked about the power of ori in her awesome presentation. So I don't want to keep going too long. I'll get back to some of these other illustrious names who've informed my art and who, whether you know it or not, have impacted you. Whether you know it or not. If you are into anything Afrocentric at all, you have received that from Meta Vogue Warwick Fuller. So, I'll stop right there.
Thank you for bringing up those ancestors and sharing that.
To me, art is an expression of the ancestors, an expression of wellness. I think when you do art, and I can say for me, it was a wellness journey into art. As a child, I remember only when I touched a paintbrush in my 30s did I remember that I won a mural contest when I was like in my teens. I didn't even remember I used to paint. But a Sangoma, very close friend of mine, if you don't know him, he has Sangoma House. His name is Kulu Kevin Buckner. And Kulu Kevin Buckner one day said, you should start painting. And he used to paint, I used to go to his house and he would paint spaceships and these celestial visions and things to come and planetary shifts and blah, blah, blah. So it was when I picked up the paintbrush that I realized, wow, I remember I was an artist, but I got so many layers on me in life, you know, work and corporate things and responsibilities and, you know, just natural silly worries and things like that. So myself and my sister Andai, cutting the soap here, Sister Andai, wave your hand, woo, woo, woo. We're of the band Zion Trinity, and a couple of years ago, about 5 years ago, the Spirit really started pushing on me about doing more art, but certainly putting a body of work out in the world that would help us understand Orisha music more. So an ancestor very close to me, Martin Salinas, we say Yeye to him. We were coming on a 30-year anniversary of his death, and it was important for me to put a body of work out there where people could begin to learn the Orisha music. So I started with the cover of the book. I said, well, I want all this to be my own artwork. You know, who is Eshu to me? You know, who is Sango, and how do we draw them? At first I was thinking, oh, let me draw a pretty picture of Sango's face. And I was like, I don't do faces well. Let me think of the symbols that they represent. So I went and began to draw each symbol. That's how the book started. Well, what does that shoe look like? Okay, well, Ogun represents a palm frond. Let me draw that instead of, you know, something else of Ogun, like a machete. So I just began that the Orisha just started giving me the different images that they wanted to represent them. And that was kind of the beginning of this book. My sister from Zion Trinity and I, we began to record the music. And so this is a body of work called Spirit of the Orisha. It's a book and CD project that I put in the world. And I thought it was important for people to be able to pronounce the words and bring the work back to original Yoruba. So my art form is music. My art form is creative expression through painting and through drawing. But speaking of my art form of music, I have to say, I used to go to Bembe's in New York. I'm from New Jersey originally. Lived here 22 years. And when I first came into the Orisha tradition in my early 20s, I used to go to Bembe's and I could see that people were mouthing the words, but they really, it was like everybody was mouthing something different. And then I was like, you know what? The more I learned the music, because when this ancestor passed in 1985, that's how I healed myself. I healed myself. This was the love of my life. So when he passed away in 1985, I began to heal myself through the music. And so all the chants I listened to, I would listen to the similar threads. Okay, this one is pronouncing this like this and this. So I became a real stickler about words. I'm an English major from Rutgers. The words were important to me. You know, it was important that we get this right and bring it back to our people. You know, so people say, are there Lukumi songs? Are there Ifa songs? I don't know. I don't really categorize it like that. To me, they're just all African chants. They're just Yoruba chants that just, you know, went to different places and sound a little different in those different places. So I found a beautiful, well, the Spirit showed me a translator, Omoba Adewale Adenle. If anyone has ever been to Congo Square and seen that metal plaque of the linked Africans, that is Omoba Adewale Adenle's work. He is from Yoruba. I mean, he's a Yoruba brother from Nigeria, good friend of mine. And the Spirit kept showing him as a translator, because I knew no one would believe me if I tried to put this body of work out in the world. I'm some little girl from New Jersey. People like, you're not even an Orisha priest. How, you know, you're initiated in Ghana. What authority do you have to put this out? I began to, like Yeye. Yeye was saying it took her 17 years, I believe, to put the book out. This has been in my heart since I was in my mid-20s. But I kept feeling that I didn't have the authority. I kept tricking myself into that nonsense, and also feeling that, well, this is more of a man's world, if you will, and you know, I'm not a priestess. How can I put this out? I'd struggled with that for many years, knowing that the whole time I'm a singer, knowing that the whole time from my early 20s they have given me the gift of this music, so that the authority came from them, and I just came to accept that. But when we were approaching the 30-year anniversary of this powerful ancestor's transition, he was the one who brought me into this work. So it was important that I not only bring it back to the original state, but that I have full license over this, that I'd be able to say, this is my artwork. You know, this is my translation of the Orisha. And now people use this as a study guide. It's now a study guide for Ifa University. It's a study guide for people in their homes. And so I have to say, for me, art was liberating. Art took me back to remembering that as a child, I won that mural contest. I used to paint, but then the world started clouding and coding me, and I forgot I did that. It wasn't until I began to put, paint to canvas for this project that I began to really, really remember. So I want to say, anyone who's an artist who even wants to draw a line on a page, do it. Because it's your ancestors' expression. It's the way that you free yourself. It's the way that you heal emotional wounds. It's the way that we move forward from pains. It's the way that we liberate ourselves. It's the way that we get in touch with the divine feminine. It's the way that we get in touch with the divine masculine. So all parts of us, sometimes the world will tell you, oh, you can't do that. You're not an artist. Or you can't do that. You work for AT&T. You're a chemist or whatever. I don't know. But there's a child in all of us that remembers when they used to draw. And I chose years ago to decide to live in that child self that wanted to draw and wanted to not be bound by people's opinions of what I can or cannot do. I realized that they put this in my Ori to do this project. And it was important for me to honor the Yoruba ancestors who brought this over across the water with no pen and paper, no drum, no nothing. So for me, this has been one of the greatest artistic expressions that I have had in my life. And I love art. And I know that really we're just reconnecting with our Native ancestors and African ancestors and European ancestors, all those beautiful rivers that run into us. We are simply just awakening them. So I
have to especially big up the collection focused on the African American ancestors. That was one of the things that really drew me to Sister Ikeoma. If you haven't seen her table, she has candles that she makes that are dedicated to our African American ancestors, Harriet Tubman and Nat Turner, and so I'd like for you to share a little bit about your inspiration for that particular project.
Okay. I'll start with that. First of all, I've never been considered myself a quote unquote artist. I've always loved drawing and painting and poetry and all of that. But I remember having a teacher in middle school, an artist teacher, and he was very prejudiced. He really was. I remember that then that he didn't like me for whatever reason. And no matter how much I put my soul into those paintings, because I love what I was doing, he would always give me a D and an F. And I stopped and I shut it down. So this that came through, I always go, when I started learning about root work and all of that, and I would go to these, not anything against it, but the botanicas, they usually like Spanish influence or what have you. And they would have the open weight candle, and they would have it in Spanish, and they would have their representation. But I never saw anything that represented me, right, where my people came from. And so that's what inspired Harriet Tubman Open the Way, because that is the epitome of the energy of open the way. Yes, I don't know if any of y'all have ever taken 17 from all the way down to Buford, between Charleston and Buford. There's a part that goes through this swamp, and it's called the Harriet Tubman Way. And when you look over, I get chills because I'm like, this woman went through this swamp with all these alligators and snakes untouched.
Cambridge, Maryland.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and through that type of terrain. Okay, if that ain't open the way energy that she was tapping into, do you understand? Same thing with Nat Turner. Some people's heroes is other people's enemy. But for us, okay, and he's from the same county my grandfather was from. All right, when he was ready to say we about to do this with that energy, they went straight forward. They didn't care who. Everybody got to go. So when I say blockbuster, that blockbuster candle and the energy of the blockbuster candle, by any means necessary, everything has to go. And you know, it's not just about, you can buy a candle from anywhere. When I touch those candles, this is energy work for me. That's right. And that's really what I teach, the alchemy of energy work. It has nothing to do with religion. You can use this under the guise of any religion. Religion is just a system to help you tap into this spirituality. But when you understand the alchemy behind it, this is what makes you that practitioner. Everybody can prepare a meal, but everybody can't cook. All right? There's a difference. And those true cookers know, they talk to their food. And they stir it and they mix it up. Okay, real cookers, we don't measure. We don't do that. If it's stuff and we sprinkle, we be like, okay, let's see what I'm up. All right, get this up here. And as we sprinkle, we put our intention. And the food, we've always done this. If you understand a lot of stuff that I'm re-teaching, I'm just reminding people we never stopped this in the first place. That's right. All of the stuff that we do has been unspoken practice. But there were reasons behind it. Those that did it knew why they were doing it. They didn't teach us why they were doing it. I just recently, a few years ago, figured out, all this time I thought my aunt was just going fishing. She called me to a pier one day where she was fishing. I'm telling you, as I got to the end of that pier, there was other people fishing, but at the part that she was by herself. By the time I got to the end of that pier, the whole energy shifted. She was sitting there in ceremony, and I felt it. I didn't even look at her. I sat next to her, and the whole conversation we had that was going on about family, and I understood. All right, this is what I need to. Okay, all right. But all this time, I thought she was going fishing. Little things like that. Same thing when I went to Africa and I saw it here. By the way, I grew up in Louisiana. Sweeping the front porch. We thinking, oh, they just sweeping. Even you go to Africa, they sweep in the front yard. Nobody wants it. Why they sweeping the dirt? They sweeping the dirt. Right, they getting rid of that negative energy. You know, and it's those things. As far as the conjure, it's I guess you would call it art. Cooking is an art. You know what I mean? The art form, whenever you mix those ingredients or you activate those ingredients, that is an art form.
Well, and it's and more to the point, it's ritual technology. All of this, the singing, the mixing of herbs, the dancing, the everything that we do, the paint, all of it, right? We don't narrowly define art as just the visual. All of it, everything that you're doing there, you know, and how they come together. When we made that art, as Robert Farris Thompson talks about, African art in motion. Yes. We danced those statues around as we sang and all of that. It wasn't so how that comes together is art. And then we take that food and we pray over it and then we put it in our bodies. Yes. Right. And so there's that alchemy that happens. That's beautiful.
Yes. Can I mention one more thing? Sure. I'm also a dancer. I don't dance professionally anymore. I've always been a dancer, but I did eventually leave the South. Go to New York. I studied at Alvin Ailey, and I used to actually teach and choreograph in New York. But it wasn't until 2006 when I got the call to go to Africa for the first time in Ghana. Now, mind you, my father, he left me. He came here after Vietnam, quick story, and he stayed here in Louisiana. So since the age of 6, I was here every summer until maybe like middle school. When I actually came here in middle school and high school. But every summer I came here to Louisiana. My father also belonged to a Pentecostal or holiness church. And back then in the 70s and 80s, as far as I'm concerned, church was a little bit different. It was real different. Very African, okay? And what I learned was, especially when I went to Ghana the first time and was invited to these Ewe people and they brought me home, and was able to pick part to see their ceremonies. The very same dances they were doing were the same shouts we were doing at these tent revivals out in Luisah, out in Nagdish, out in all of that. Our dances, we didn't know. We thought we was dancing for Jesus Christ. Okay, and that's how I learned that what we practice had nothing to do with religion. the what we call speaking in tongues and what happened. Those are the ancestors coming through with a message. We have to have interpretations here. Even when I go to Haiti, which is another one of my places, that's home. They also have the same thing. When those entities come through, when those ancestors come through, it's speaking in another language. There's somebody else who has to come and interpret it. Yes, it has nothing to do with religion. That's what we do. This is who we come from. Even when I'm watching Soul Train, I can see some of the African dances. Or even when and regularly, 2 years ago, I was in Haiti studying with a dance company. Some of the same dances they were doing, I was like, child, that's the prep. I got you. Never changed. But we kept it. We just changed the name of it. But when you understand what you do and the energy behind it, those dances were used to conjure up the ancestors. Understand what you do.
I wanted to just pose one more question and allow our brother Marcel to share a little bit with us. And then we're going to open it up. So if you have something brewing, you're welcome to come and form a line here, and we'll have the mic here where you can ask a question if you would like. I want to ask just about this energy of transformation, right? You took material, and I'm sure you've talked about this, but I would love for you to share with us just that process, that energy that led you to take this material that came from a place of destruction, right? How you turn that destruction into construction, because this is a part of what we do as Africans as well, right? We repurpose things. We use everything, the rooter to the tuner, as they say, right? So every single thing, we can find a way to make it work for us, to take our pain and turn it into passion, turn it into positive energy, turn it into money, right? That is what this brother has done. And I want him to share just a little piece of that story with us, a little bit of where that ancestral energy came from that led you to completely transform these materials that came out of pain into something so beautiful that has taken you to so many different places.
Well, just the obvious thing that happened was Katrina hit. It blew the roof off my house. So I had to figure out how to come out here, gut it, fix the roof, patch up the holes. So I gutted it out, patched up the holes, kept all of the wood and just put it away, and then went back to California. But then a few years later, all this gentrification started hitting the neighborhood out here that we were already dealing with in Oakland. So I was like, I gotta rush back to Louisiana and save my house, because it was like this white lady she paid the taxes on your house. Now, what people don't understand is, like, right after Katrina, everything was messed up, right? But the city was like, y'all still have to pay y'all taxes. So we all still trying to pay taxes on places that we can't even live, that ain't even livable. So I was trying to protest the tax thing, but while I'm protesting, my taxes is like 7,000, 14,000, 21,000. They going up. So by that time, they telling me I gotta pay all this money in taxes. I'm like, how am I gonna do that? So I came back out here, started the process, raised a little money, went to go try to pay the 14,000 that they was trying to make me pay. By the time I went to pay the 14,000, they were like, no, Landrew just passed a new ordinance where you can't pay your taxes if your house is on the blight list. Otherwise, if you pay them taxes, it's a $17,500 lien that was on most people's houses, because what we didn't know is while we were all in diaspora doing whatever we was doing, they was charging us $500 a day for 30 days. So it was this imaginary lien on most people's houses that was $500 up to 30 days, which equals $17,500. If you went to pay your taxes, that lien was ahead of your taxes, so it'd just absorb all the money. So de facto, they basically was saying you had to get your house off the blight list before you could pay your taxes. Now, that would probably be easy for a person that had a little 14-foot shotgun house, but my house is 45 foot tall, 120 feet back. It was one of the original mansions in Tremay that the free people of color built. So
To fix the outside of my house, it cost about $70,000. I talked to some people, it got down to about 50. So I'm like, how am I come up with 50,000 to fix the outside of my house to come up, get off the blight list to pay this 14,000? So I'm describing all this to tell y'all the pressure that creates diamonds, the pressure that creates transformation, right? So all of this is on me. In the meantime, I'm in California with my family trying to raise kids and love a wife and other stuff. So I had to come back. So I was like, what am I gonna do? While I was out here camping out in my messed up house, I brought this little blanket that my great grandmama passed down to me when she passed away, my big mama, a quilt. So I'm lucky enough to have about 5 of her quilts, and I brought my one lucky quilt. And so I was asleep on that quilt one night, and I was just like, what am I gonna do? So Big Mama came in this dream, like, quilted, baby. You know, so I took her, like you say, ritual technology of quilting and applied it to what I had in front of me, which was scraps of a messed up house. So I could say, wooden quilts, that's what I could do. And so immediately I started just making these assemblage pieces and going out to the French Quarter on the streets and selling them to tourists. I made $70,000 in 10 months. And so by the time that 10 months passed, that's when Beyonce was doing the Super Bowl and she blew the lights out, remember? So that was February 10th or something like that. I remember because I had to pay the taxes a few days before that Friday, before that Super Bowl Sunday. I had to pay them taxes. That was my deadline, or they was about to auction my house off on the auction block. So I went in there to pay the 14, but the 14 that turned into 22. So I paid the 22,000 in 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s. I took it in there just like I made it, you understand? So they had to close down, close the line. Everybody was cussing, getting mad because I was holding up the line. They had to bring the supervisor out to watch the accountant lady and watch the. I was like, y'all do what y'all gotta do because, you know, this is how I made it. And the crazy thing about it is I didn't even owe that many taxes. The thing is I got my damage waivers in, and really they was telling me once you pay this 14,000, you're gonna get 7,000 back because you wasn't supposed to be paying that much tax anyway. But they say I had to pay it first to get the money back. So by the time I paid the 22,000, my 7,000 refund had went down to like 4,000 or something like that. So it was just a scam, but I paid it, you know, and the other 50, I fixed the outside of the house, which allowed me to pay it. So I kind of went ahead of myself. But all I'm saying is all that to say, all that came out of the pressure. Yes. You know, and then your ancestors, they hear you crying, they hear you begging, they hear you petitioning them, whether you're doing it on piece of papers and folding them up and, you know, all that stuff, or just sending out those silent messages. You know, like my grandma used to do. My grandmama wasn't much of an overt ritualist. She just, you know, if we didn't have something, she would go in the back and come back out with it. Like she would just manifest it. Baby, I might have a little something back here for you. And she would come back with it. So it's this silent conjuring that I inherited from her that I usually don't share, you know, with my mouth. So, I mean, the best way I could figure out how to translate that is through this silent way. Like if you look in the back, that silent way, you know, it explains it in a non-verbal way that I can't even begin to tell you with words. So, and I mean, and it's important for people like me because I'm real verbose. I started off as an MC rapping, you know, so I know about talking and running my mouth. So when Katrina hit and put me into this silent meditation, where it forced me to be quiet and to express all of that talkativeness through this other form, through this visual form, it also helped me mature in a way, you know, and be able to pass something through without confrontation. Because usually when I talk, I'm confrontational. I'm just, my name Marcel, that means little hammer. You know, yeah, it's like my mama named me that, then my middle name is Diallo, that means the bold one. You know what I mean? So they putting all this on me like, fight, hit. Yeah, you know. So I mean, I had to find a way to calm all that, deal with my grandma.
We can definitely feel the energy of the movement through it. Right? It's so interesting that you talk about your talking coming through, because when I first looked at these pieces, I mean, and y'all, I was about to say, y'all got to go over to his house, but he has doors of this on his, I mean, the house is gorgeous, okay? The way that it's been, that you fix it up, and you can just feel this energy. And, you know, you brought some of my first tears for the day, or maybe my third, if I'm being honest, right? Because that's that pressure that creates diamonds. This is what we do, right? We bend, but we don't break. We find a way. And I would have loved to be in that day in Washington County, 20,000 once. Oh my gosh, I would have stood right there and like, yeah, y'all count that. That's my brother right there. That's beautiful. Did anybody from the audience have a question for the panel? Y'all just so riveted, right? They're just wonderful. Well, I'll just ask to close and to let everyone to comment on this. What we talked about how art helps, you know, in terms of liberation and things. What responsibility do you feel those of us who create have in the community? Where do you see our responsibility? Where do you see a way that we can be more impactful with our creation? Because we know we have a lot of stuff out here that's being created that ain't for our uplift, right? And that's the stuff that gets pushed the most. And so how do we counter that with the positivity we're creating, with our Afrocentrism, with our spirituality, with our ritual technology? How do we push forward, and what's kind of the next phase in that responsibility? We can start with you, Marcus.
Well, I'm gonna try to be short. One of the things that I started out as a young professional artist, and the arts is everything. There's an art to everything. Art is everything. There's an art to making this chair. There's an art to how we speak to each other. There's an art to brushing your teeth in the morning, let alone music, dance, architecture, all those type of things that we obviously associate with art. But it occurred to me that when, as a teenager, I was looking around our community. I was growing up in what you might call the hood, and I didn't like what I saw. So I was exposed to the mural movement, and I was like, what could I do to help? And I said, well, the biggest thing I could probably do is get involved in making these humongous murals, because they have a massive impact on people's psyche. I knew that our problem, really, the challenges we were having was coming from Oriburuku, from twisted up head, right? I was like, so, we got this television and stuff that's twisting up our head. What could I do that could compete with that? So I want to tell you a little story. So I accepted the responsibility that Afri-Cobra laid down, that our art form should be in the service of our liberation, our elevation. I accepted that responsibility along with many others. We're part of a movement. But I want to share with a little story about today. I want to share the story, and I brought this book to share with y'all, and I'm going to close with this as far as my part. So in 1992, I got called in to do a mural that one of the great founders of the mural movement, John Weber, he was supposed to do, but he couldn't do it. He's a mentor and an elder to me. They called me. I was here at home in New Orleans. They said, can you come up to Chicago and do this mural? John can't do it. He's leaving the country. And I was like, I could do it, but I'm rolling with this organization called the Neighborhood Gallery. Some of y'all might know the Neighborhood Gallery. It's legendary around here, right? And we're about to roll out to England, right? So I said, I'll do it, but when it comes time to go to England, I got to roll. And, that's my agreement. Okay, we agree. Boom. So I get there, and I got 2 assistants. They're under me. And I say, look, this is a chance for y'all to get to come up. I'm not controlling the money. You ain't gonna get no more money, but I'll let you come in and co-design this project with me so you can learn, right? And I'll kick you back a little lanyard on the money, but really, I'm not controlling the money, but this is a come up for you. And they agreed. So when it came time to me to get to head out to England, right? I said, okay, we got this thing 75%, 80% done. Y'all know what to do. Close this thing out. Boom. And I left and went to England. Well, that project didn't get done. Now, this is my reputation as a muralist. You mess up one project, your whole reputation is on the line, all around the whole country. So I get back to New Orleans and come to find out that the project ain't done. And now that means I've got to go back with no more salary, no money, out of my own pocket and finish this project. So I called my Babalosha.
Okay, all right.
I said, oh man, I was like, I'm vexed, right? And so he cast on it for me. And he said, you know what the problem is? He said, you got to start relying more on your culture and our culture and how you do things. This is not just about being an artist, but it's relying on your culture from the get. Now, it was true because I was organizer. I was in Cuba in the 80s. I was around a lot of left-wing people, right? I was under the influence of, say, socialists in a way that was kind of Eurocentric. You know, I was finding myself, like Yeye talked about, I was finding myself. I really got dedicated to Define 89, but before that, I was into other things. I would consider myself a black revolutionary, all this type of thing, okay? And he said, what you did, he said, you tried to do all this egalitarian stuff. You tried to kind of approach this in a Western modality. He said, but if you just look at our culture, you could straighten that out and you could go on to success. Now, my uncle, who I mentioned, he used to always give me these books. He was instrumental in the invention of silkscreen in the United States. And he would always be giving me these books on African art, how they do the thing in African art, how they make it from beginning to end. And that slap in the face in 1992 was buku enough for me to say, all right, we revamp this whole thing. I'm gonna set this thing up based on the ingenious of African and Yoruba culture. And I then changed my One Mural Society. It's called Walls of Nyabingi. I don't tell many people that. I'm retired now, so who cares? It's too late. They can't do nothing. All right. I did 30 years almost of stuff under the, I would tell people, they would say, what's the name of your company? I would say One Mural Society. They say, what's that stand for? We already won. But it really started to stand for Walls of Nyabingi, named after Haile Selassie soldiers who defeated the Italians. When you could go see our stuff in airports and places all over the country, and them folks didn't know that they was hiring Walls of Nyabingi. All right. Now, so here's the point. I then revamped and started drawing from our traditional cultural genius in my social structure and how I organize One Mural Society. And from then on, you will see our stuff all over the country, spreading all over the country. And one last thing. If you look like we have a huge project in the international section of the airport in Philadelphia, we did 3 DAFAs on that project alone. All our public art monuments from the 80s till now, every single one of them was buku eba going on and buku dafa. That's how we did it. I have never said this publicly ever before in life. This is the first time today. Yeah, and one last thing before I close. One of my mentors who helped me in Ifa is sitting right here. This is Baba Timitayo, Lord Timitayo. And I want to shout out. For me, all the arts are one. I was a professional breakdancer. I was taught to sing when I was 14. I started training hard in art in 1978. I was 12 years old. I come from a family of all kinds of rappers, artists, musicians, and priests. I started training in priesthood in 1989. It's all one to me. That led me to, I never thought I would not want to be in the visual arts, but now I know why I stopped wanting to be in the visual arts. It's to do the things that we're doing now. We created a school, Juju Power, Orisa Voodoo Inspired Living. Shout out to my Juju Power students that sit right up in here. We created Avalanche Jacques. At least one of my Avalanche Jacques students is up in here, self-defense and combat. So it's all art.
I'll make it brief. We talk about responsibility. For me, in the year 2012, when the power of the Great Mother, there was another month. In 2012, the power of the Great Mother descended upon the planet. And that was a time, I have to say, that the Spirit called me to start leading as a Mardi Gras Indian. And my responsibility that I was told in dream time and in just bead time as I string each bead and create what they tell me to create. They told me to bring the power of the Great Mother on the planet. So every year, for the last 5 years, I've dedicated each suit to the power of a different Orisha or mother. My first suit was to was to Mami Water, who was my godhead, Mamisi. Mami Water Yemaya. The next year was to Oshun and Bayani, the sister of Oshun, who comes to bring wealth. So each time I come on the street, I bring the power of that particular mother in that suit to the streets, to the people, to my own self. The great mothers and grandmothers reside over my head. I have to say, I love all Orisha, I love all of the Obusum, but I am a daughter of the mothers, and I'm clear that as a daughter of the mothers, I must bring her power on the planet. And so every year, this year I came out, Marcel and I were just talking, I came out with the grandmother of the swamp, Nana Boruku. And it was important to give power to the grandmothers because last year I took my own mother into my home, who's 80 years old and wheelchair bound. And I said, grandmother, you have to show me how to care for my mother. You have to show me how to lovingly care for this crone mother that you have given me. And now I am the mother of my mother. Show me how to do this, please. And Nana Boruku said, if you bead me, I will show you. And she did. I have a patience that's come over me. And a grandmother spirit myself that has come over me. And so I thank the Orisha. And this grandmother is going to show me how to be a grandmother. And I don't have chick nor child, but I'm a grandmother. I share.
Responsibility. Responsibility and community. This is really deep conversation for me because I'm constantly feeling it on the platform as far as a healer, period. As a nurse, as an RN, I also didn't mention that my father has also been a bishop here in Louisiana. And I remember being as a kid, him starting that church with nobody to him having churches under his church. It's not necessary. So coming from a spiritual background of understanding how to heal things, and as a nurse, understanding the physical. The physical manifestation is the last manifestation, where it's already off on a spiritual plane. This is why our traditions are important in helping us to maintain balance and the cleansing, and the protection. And yes, there is a time for hexing and banishing. Whenever our son or husband or grandfather was about to get whipped or hung, we knew how to take care of that. Yes, sir. Okay, and today, how that goes, I don't care what religion you're under, if we all got together and went to spirit to banish this stuff that is happening to us, we wouldn't be shot in the streets the way that we're being shot. And the stuff that's happening to us would not be happening to us. I have these conversations all the time in my store. I have younger women coming to me that didn't have mothers that had certain conversations about them, whether it was for physical or spiritual. And the same thing, I have elders that come to me that thank me for opening that stores because those that did practice, they either dying off and they never taught anybody anything. If you know, please teach. Yes. They come to you. And I'm not talking about with an arrogant, well, you have to do this and you have to do that. No, you teach in love. Yes. And my thing, and this is just my approach, I'm not here to send anybody on a certain path. I'm here to teach people how to connect with their own ancestors. Yes. If you come from Yoruba, they're going to send you that way. If your path was Vodun or Lukumi or what have you, they're going to send you that way. That's not my job. My job is just to teach you how to connect. Once you make that connection, they will show you how to heal yourself. And it's a constant thing. So that should be our responsibility. It's not just to look good. It's not just to wear, dress in our gilets and whatever. It's not just about that. What are you doing with that? How many conversations are you having with our youth? And teaching, especially from the women, I'm talking about from women to women. I understand the men, but they eat our food. We are the healers. They came from us. Let them speak and do whatever it is that they need to do, but at the end of the day, they came from us. So it is our responsibility to bring this back. It is our responsibility to make sure that we are good as a community. Please give all of our panelists a rousing round of applause.